Durkee Atwood was a $25 million manufacturer of rubber belts. So if you got a Singer sewing machine, that company manufactured the small little belt that powered that sewing machine. If you had a John Deere lawnmower, that company manufactured the belt that powered that lawnmower. And if you had an oil rig in the Gulf of Mexico, that company powered a 176-foot long belt that powered that oil rig. The company was close to bankruptcy. The bank was pulling the line of credit, and the company was in default with the bank, had received a default notice. The board decided it was time for a change. This is a 100-year-old company owned by the same family all these years. And the board made the decision to bring me in as CEO. And the company had lost more than $1 million in the previous year and had lost many millions of dollars over the previous 5 years. The entire industry had been affected horribly by companies throughout the world that were dumping belts into America at discounted prices. More than 20 manufacturers of belts went out of business in the previous 5 years. And we were down to 3 companies in the industry that remained. Goodyear Tire had a belt manufacturing division, Gates Rubber, and Durkee Atwood, located in Red Wing, Minnesota. There were 325 employees at Durkee Atwood, the second largest employer in Red Wing, behind Red Wing Shoe. And it had a very strong union, United Rubber Workers. And when I got there, we had an all-employee meeting, and the president of the union stood up, all 6'5" of him, and said, "Go home where you came from. There's nothing you can do. It's too late." A year and a half later, that gentleman became my vice president of quality and left the union. We implemented a bonus program, an all-employee bonus program that paid out more than $250,000 in the first year, and subsequent years increased the payouts to the employees as the company turned around, turning from more than $1 million loss to more than $1 million gain in that first year. And after a couple years of profitability, it was an old plant with old equipment, and the family needed to make a choice as to whether or not it wanted to invest further in the company and keep it in the company or to sell. They chose to sell the company. We sold it to Pirelli Tire out of Italy, and Pirelli asked me to run the company for them for a year and a half, which I did. The success story here is the employees. More than 300 employees turned that company around. We made massive changes, and they adapted to those changes, and we were able to create a culture of participation and openness. We had all-employee meetings every month where we handed out the bonuses to the employees for the previous month's performance, and boy did they perform. They did a wonderful job of being a part of a significant turnaround. We refinanced the company, paid off the bank in full, and within a year and a half we're out of the bank line, having enough cash flow to retire all of the debt in the company. Well, in this situation, what we brought to the table was the ability to assess which part of the business to discontinue and which part of the business to discontinue. And in this case, the family had decided in the previous 3 years to diversify its operations away from belt manufacturing and more into other kinds of products, rubber products. But all of those initiatives were losing money, and the belt manufacturing side of the business, the foundation of the business, had remained strong and profitable. So I made the decision to reduce the size of the company, several $1 million, but increase its profitability. It's a tough decision to make. We got rid of a number of businesses and moved away from those businesses and hung a very large banner up in the plant, 110,000 square foot plant in Red Wing, that simply said, "We make belts." And I pointed to the large banner hanging from the ceiling and said, "This is what we do, and this is all we do, We're going to focus on this, and anything other than this is not going to be a part of Durkee Atwood in the future. So a part of what's brought to the table in a situation like this is creating a vision for the future, helping people understand what that future looks like, and helping them come to grips with some of the changes that the company will need to go through in order to fulfill that vision. It included laying off all of the direct salespeople that were out there calling on accounts, and all the reps, and going direct from the manufacturer to the customer, because those customers were calling in directly anyways. We managed to eliminate a rather cumbersome sales process and simplify it by setting up an 800 number and allowing customers to have easy access and to get excellent customer service by calling directly and ordering their products. But that meant a huge change in the culture of the company. It meant that salespeople weren't driving very expensive cars around the country calling on customers. It meant that we had a handful of people in the office who were on the phones calling those customers, asking how they could help, asking what products they might need. And sales restored, profitability restored within 1 year, and it put that company on a path of profitability for many years into the future. It's a great story.